40 degrees on the Gobi Desert floor. My camel was soaked through with sweat, and Gary and I had been lying flat on the gravel for 8 straight hours. We were waiting for that door to open.
Send it.
The moment the target stepped out of the building, I steadied my breath, lined up the shot, and squeezed the trigger. The bullet traveled 1,400 meters. The Taliban commander dropped dead on the spot. Those guards would never know which direction death had come from. Gary and I didn't stick around. We climbed into the pickup and headed back to base. As the best sniper in the Special Forces, I'd run missions like this more times than I could count. I never questioned orders, because I believed it all meant something. Until the day everything changed. The captain handed down a new mission, take a Taliban field commander alive. Intel said the target would be attending a relative's wedding that afternoon. The strike team rolled up in pickups. Gary and I dismounted early, got into position near the target, set up our rifles, and watched the perimeter. Then things went sideways.
Overwatching position. We got you covered.
Copy that. Entering now.
The team leader ordered the Taliban guards to drop their weapons and hand over the target. They refused.
Friend!
We don't want any trouble, but you have to lower your weapons.
Landege. Munga. Dana. Zoo.
I kept my eyes on the outer perimeter, finger resting near the trigger. Gary suddenly called out a sniper on a distant hillside, drawing a bead on our guys. I swung my barrel over and fired without hesitation. One shot, one kill.
Contact!
Shit.
But that crack of the rifle lit the whole battlefield on fire. Taliban fighters raised RPGs and our guys opened up with heavy machine guns, spraying everything in sight.
Walter's fucking lost it again.
I watched it all unfold. Throat tight. No time to yell for them to stop because they'd forgotten there were innocent civilians inside. People who'd just come to celebrate a wedding. The machine guns roared. Lives blinked out one after another. The concrete courtyard walls crumbled to rubble. When the gunfire finally died, my eyes were burning, and my hands were shaking from rage, from helplessness.
It was a wedding.
Gary's voice pulled me back. I sprinted toward the compound. I was too late. The team leader had already given the order to kill everyone inside. Even the one civilian who had survived a bystander was shot dead on the spot by one of our own. When I ran in and saw what was on the ground, my feet stopped cold. Nothing but the bodies of innocent people. This wasn't war. This was a massacre.
Well, that went a bit fucking west.
The captain pulled himself together quickly. He radioed command with a lie, claimed they'd been pinned down by Taliban fire, and requested a missile strike to level the site. Then he tossed a smoke grenade, turned his back and walked away without a word. We drove out to a hill in the distance. Then came the blast. The missile hit dead on the smoke marker. Every last piece of evidence vanished in the smoke and fire. The rest of the guys laughed with relief, like a weight had been lifted off their shoulders. Gary and I sat off to the side, hollow like we'd left our souls back in that courtyard. That was the moment I made my decision. The next day, midway through our convoy, I called for a halt. I said the mound of dirt up ahead looked off and volunteered to check it out. Gary came with me. We moved in slowly, detector in hand, the alarm growing louder with each step. I pulled out a screwdriver and dug into the mound. A toy tricycle. The guys burst out laughing, shook their heads in relief, and got ready to roll again. The laughter was still hanging in the air when I quietly slipped a phone out of my pocket. Gary looked at me, confused. I didn't explain. The explosion swallowed everything. Every man who had ever pulled the trigger on an innocent person was gone in that instant. I am the finest sniper the British Special Forces ever produced. In my lifetime, I have killed more enemies than I can remember. But this time, the crosshairs weren't on the enemy. They were on the men I used to fight beside.